There are certain things that most men do not tell their partners or any of the women in their lives for that matter, but they are very important things that I think that you should know. Hello, my name is Matthew Coast and welcome to my channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to get more videos like this and hit the bell notification as well. All right, so number one, the first thing that men are worried about women knowing is that he's actually really scared to get hurt. So, if you've ever dated or been in a relationship before, if you've ever attempted to date or attempted to be in a relationship before, there's a good chance that you've been hurt. Men aren't exempt from this. Men have been hurt, many of them just as much as women have. And so most men have been hurt. Some have been hurt many, multiple times, and they've been rejected over and over and over again. And he doesn't want to feel hurt. He doesn't want to get hurt. And so a lot of guys will try to protect themselves and try to put themselves in situations where they don't get hurt or they avoid being hurt because they're scared of getting hurt and they're scared of opening up and finding out that you don't think that they're enough or that they aren't the right guy or they're not the kind of guy that you thought they were or that they were trying to make you perceive that he is. And so a lot of guys, they're scared that they're not going to be enough. And so that's something that, in my opinion, I think you should know about. All right, so number two is he's insecure about his body. And so a lot of guys they're secretly insecure about what's going on with their body. And the number one thing, the absolute number one thing that most guys are insecure about is actually their height, because it's a well-known and well-documented number one thing that women are attracted to in men is tall men, right? Like if you ask women, generally speaking, what do you want? They all want that tall, dark, and handsome guy, right? That tall guy. Another one is their weight. A lot of guys are insecure about their weight. Many guys are insecure about their muscles or maybe lack of muscles or whatever is going on with them, right? If they don't feel like they're living up to the image of what they think they should be or what they think society thinks they should be as far as a man, then a lot of guys are insecure about that. Another one is he might be insecure about the size of his ding dong, right? So it's another issue, right? It's one of those things, and these are actually things that if you want to connect with a man on, just being aware of the fact that he might be insecure about his body and his height and the size of his muscles and all that kind of stuff can be really, really valuable, because you might see him and he might start acting weird. And you're like, why is he acting weird? But he's acting weird maybe because of one of his insecurities or one of the things that is going on with him that he might be insecure about or he might not be sure of or whatever. And so it can be really valuable to know about these things. All right, so number three is he mostly doesn't really know what it is that he's doing, right? Do guys ever seem like they're just making it up as we go along? Well, it's probably because they are, and we are, right? And a lot of us don't really know. Most people, I mean, if you think about it, if you think about the world in general, like a lot of people want to kind of act like we know what's going on and what we're doing and where we're going and all that kind of stuff. But really, it's all kind of really just being made up as we go along. And anything that we create or we decide about the world or what we decide that we're going to do is all really just being made up. And a lot of guys don't want you to feel like they're weak or they don't know what they're doing or whatever. And so a lot of times they'll put on a front like, I know what's going on, I know what to do, right? And really deep down, most of us don't really know what's going on or what we're doing. We're just trying to make it up as we go along because we think that's what we're supposed to do. Number four is he doesn't really know where he wants to eat either. You ever get in one of those tussles with a guy where he's like, "What do you want to eat?" And you're like, "I don't know. What do you want to eat?" And you're like, he's like, "I don't know." And it just goes back and forth, and you're sitting there like, "Oh, you're the guy. You should figure out where you should be eating, right?" And he doesn't know where he wants to eat. He just picks a place because he's the man, and that's what he thinks he's supposed to be doing, and so that's what he does. Because if he waits for you to figure it out, it could take forever. If you're like most of the women that guys have been dating, it could take forever for you to figure it out. And so he picks a place until you say, "No, I don't want to go there," right? But you also don't want to choose a place either. Okay, maybe this happens sometimes. Number five, number five is he wants to be complimented. So guys love a lot of guys love compliments. Some guys don't care, right? But most guys, they want to feel desired. They want to feel wanted, just like you probably want to feel desired and wanted by the man in your life. He wants to feel desired and wanted and cherished, and like he has somebody who's really interested in him and who looks up to him and admires him and thinks he's really cool and special and the bee's knees and all that other kind of stuff. And so, it's important to remember that, right? He's human. He's a human being. A lot of times I talk to women and they get this idea in their mind like guys are like these emotionless, rational, logical beings, right? But the truth is that we're all driven by emotion. All of us, everyone's driven by emotion. And guys want to know that you like them. The guys want to know that you're interested in them. I was actually talking to this woman a couple of days ago, and she was talking about there's this guy who is playing at a concert or something, and she was trying to figure out whether she should go and just stop by the concert. And she had been dating, I guess, started dating this guy or whatever. And she was like, is that too much? Should I go to this concert? And I would just go for a couple of songs and then leave. But, he didn't really invite me, but I was still thinking about going. And the answer is that if the guy really likes you, then it's absolutely not only not a problem, but it's a really good thing if you just show up there and say hi and leave, because what it's doing is it's showing that you really like him. It's showing that you're thinking about him. It's showing that you pay attention to what's going on with him. And you always want to be in the middle with these things. You don't want to jump on one side where you're just like smothering him with all of your interest and I'm so interested in you and I'm stalking you everywhere you go, right? But you also don't want to jump on the other side. And we get this a lot with women misinterpreting the idea of leaning back, right? We have a lot of women that will come into our community and they will hear the term leaning back or no contact, and they have absolutely no idea what any of those terms mean because they haven't watched my videos about them. And then they just make it up that it means that, oh, I shouldn't talk to a guy or I shouldn't show any interest in the guy. And that's just nonsense, right? Guys want to be desired. They want to have somebody that's just as into them as they are into you. And a lot of them are scared of doing the same thing, right? They're scared of showing interest. They're scared of, coming on too strong. And then you losing interest and leaving, because the same things have probably happened to him that have happened to you in the dating space. And so a lot of people are just waiting to like lower their guards so that they can open up and start connecting with another person in a genuine, real way. And anyway, the point is that men like compliments. So number 6, we have 9 of these. I'm on number 6. 6 is he acts the way he does because he wants to impress you. So all the seemingly silly or weird things that he does, what he's trying to really do is he wants you to be proud of him. He wants you to feel like he is a great catch. He wants you to feel like he's a winner. He wants to be admired. He wants to have someone who looks up to him and feels like they have a great catch in their life, right? He wants you to feel like he's somebody that you really want to be with. Because the reality is that when I talk about this value thing and coming from a screening frame and making sure that you're coming across as high value, the reality is that we all want somebody who that we feel is just a little bit out of our league, or at least is a really good catch, right? We want somebody that we're proud of. Everybody does. We all want somebody that we're proud of. And so he comes into a situation, he's like, how do I make sure that she thinks that I'm a good catch, that I'm somebody that she would want to be with? Well, I'll tell her about my smorgasbord of things that might impress her, right? And show her these different aspects of myself where I'm doing these things and I'm just this awesome person. And hopefully she will feel impressed by those things and think that I'm an awesome guy and want to be in a romantic relationship with me and not just friend zone me. It's important stuff. Number seven is it's really hard to get over you after a breakup. And so there's this myth out there, and I've heard women talk about it, and I think it really probably actually comes down to the fact that the woman is hurt, and so she just throws all these things out onto guys. But I'll hear a lot where women will be like, oh, guys don't ever feel hurt, or guys don't ever miss women after a breakup. They just move on, they don't care, and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is that even if he's the one that broke up with you, it's still hard to get over someone if you're attached to him. And rebound relationships, I hear this often. Oh, he moved on already. Rebound relationships are not a sign of somebody moving on. That is not a sign that somebody has moved on. Getting out of a relationship and then jumping into a new one is not a sign that someone's moved on. It's a sign that they aren't over you yet. And the reason that is because they had all these needs that they were getting fulfilled through you. And now all of a sudden they aren't getting those needs fulfilled anymore. And so what's actually happening is they're trying to cover that hole up that they've created, that vacuum up that they've created by breaking up with you with somebody else. And it usually doesn't work, which is why rebound relationships don't last very long, statistically speaking. And so it's hard for guys just as it is for women to get over a breakup. It's not one of those things where guys break up and they don't feel anything. They feel things, and they usually just express them in a different way than most women do. So number nine here is, oh wait, no, we're on number 8. Number 8 is he's more emotional than you realize. And so he's hiding it, he's tucking it down inside, right? This kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. And guys traditionally have been, we've been kind of socialized to tuck down our emotions. And it's actually very important for men to do this a lot of times in their lives, because if they're around a whole bunch of guys and they want to be respected and they want to have other guys look up to them and think that they're strong and they're leaders and they're capable, then they can't just be crying all the time and all that stuff around other men, because men won't take them seriously. Men won't respect them. Men won't want to have them on their side, because they aren't going to be able to get things done that in a lot of men's minds we see as very important things to do and be capable of. And so a lot of times men will be emotional. They'll be very emotional in a whole bunch of different ways, but they'll hide it because they're worried that you won't think that he's a man. He's worried that you'll be less attracted to him because of it. I was actually, when I was in Europe, I was friends with this guy and we were hanging out, and he was talking about this woman that he was dating. And he was talking about how and this guy's in his I think he was in his late 40s, right? And he was talking about how you can't show emotion to women. And he was telling me about how he like cried in front of this woman one time, and she like immediately broke up with him afterwards, which, you know, to be fair to her, may or may not have had anything to do with him crying, right? But it happens a lot, right? We were just talking about this I think it was in our community, where some woman was talking about, what was she talking about? It was something around this idea um, of men being relationship oriented, right? And how men should prioritize relationships all the time. And the reality and the statistics out there and the research out there and the data out there have shown that while women say they want a relationship oriented man, most women are not attracted to relationship oriented men. That's the facts. That's what research has found so far, is that if a guy prioritizes relationships all the time, women, generally speaking, are just far less attracted to him than if he's got a purpose and a mission and something that he's really striving for in his life that he's going towards. Women are far more attracted to that than if he's focused on relationships and building relationships and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of guys, they're worried about you being less attracted to them. They're worried about you not feeling like they're men. They're worried about being too vulnerable around you because of the consequences that might come from that, of you feeling like they aren't really men or not being as attracted to them. Regardless of what you think, it's about how you feel, right? And the reality is that we don't go for what we think. We go for what we feel in relationships. That's how they work, which is one of the reasons why it's so complicated for so many people. And then the last one is number 9, and it's that he's scared that he's not enough. And so I talked about this with number 1 a little bit, but it's something that we all have, right? It's something that almost everybody has deep down inside, whether they've worked on it, whether they've covered it up, whether they've kind of ignored it, or whatever it is. We all deep down have this fear that we're not really enough. And so it's one of those things where we're scared, if we aren't enough, that you're not going to love us, that we're not going to be enough for you, that you're going to leave, that other people won't respect us, and we'll lose our value in other people's eyes if we're not seen as being enough. And so it's really important for a lot of men to make sure that they're coming across as important and valuable and respected and all those kinds of things, because a lot of us are afraid that if that's not happening, that we won't be enough. And because of that, we'll have people that'll walk out of our lives. We won't create what we want to create in the world, and all kinds of other things. And so I'm going to go over the 9 things that men don't want women to know about them one more time, but I think is very important for you to hear. Number 1 is he's scared of being hurt. Number 2, he's insecure about his body. Number 3, he mostly doesn't really know what he's doing. Number 4 is he doesn't really know where he wants to eat either. Number 5 is he wants to be complimented. Number 6 is he acts the way he does because he's trying to impress you. Number 7 is it's really hard to get over you after a breakup. Number 8 is that he's a lot more emotional than you realize. And then number 9 is he's scared that he's not enough.